Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, my name is Bianca. How are you doing? Today we are going to be going over my August TBR. So in August there is the Magical Readathon, which I look forward to every August. So we are doing the Magical Readathon, the autumn equinox, and this is kind of like the second semester. So the classes and the prompts get a little harder and you have to read more. So the Magical Readathon, which was created by G from BookRoast, is kind of like a RPG Dungeons and Dragons type thing where you create your character, you join a guild, and then you go for your calling. And when you go for your calling, you have to complete prompts and read books for these prompts in order to progress ahead in your calling and get like from novice to advanced and so forth. So me being me, I'm extra, so I'm going to attempt to go for 2 callings because that's just how I am. So the first calling I'm going to go over is Star Whisperer, and I love stars, I love the moon, so this was just the perfect thing for me. For Star Whisperer, I'm going for 4 main classes, and you either go for O's, Q's, or D's. Okay, so O for ordinary, Q for qualified, and D for distinguished. So for Star Whisperer, I need an O in Art of Illusion, a D in Astronomy, an O in Lore, and a D in Psionics and Divination. Here we have the syllabus for the autumn equinox, and let's see what each class requires. So I need an O in Art of Illusion, which the subject is levitation spell. So the prompt is read a book without touching the floor or ground. So this could really be anything because you just have to read with your feet off the ground. And I thought it'd be difficult, and I pick a book for each prompt. I don't usually read with my feet on the ground. I usually read in bed, or I read here in my reading chair with my feet up on the ottoman or whatever. So the book I chose for this was When in Rome by Sarah Adams. This is a cute little rom-com about a pop star who needs a break from her celebrity lifestyle and all of the running around. So she decides to follow in Audrey Hepburn's footsteps and go for a trip to Rome. But Italy's too far away, so she chooses Rome, Kentucky, where she meets this cutie little baker in his small town. So thought this would be perfect. I've heard a lot of amazing, great things, and cannot wait to pick this up. So the next class is Astronomy, which I need a distinguished in. So in order to get distinguished, you also have to complete the prompts for ordinary and qualified. So ordinary is Moon Song Ritual, and the prompt is word in the title from the name of the last song you listened to. So the last song I listened to was Fictional by Chloe Ray. I've been listening to that on repeat for weeks, and so I had to find a book title with the word fictional in it. I decided to kind of twist this around a little, and I looked for a book with the word fiction in it. So for this one, I decided to go for Better Than Fiction by Alexa Martin. This I'm getting from my library, so hopefully it'll be ready before the end of the month. This seems like a really cute rom-com about a bookseller who's discovering how to be the main character in her own story. So this follows Drew Young, who is a self-proclaimed book hater and a firm believer that the movie is always better, which completely disagree with, but let's move on. And then she inherits her grandmother's bookstore, and she's in way over her head, and then she meets best-selling author and hopeless romantic Jasper Williams. So this seems like it is a romance between the romantic Jasper Williams and the book-hating Drew Young. So very much look forward to picking that up. Hopefully my library comes through. Then I need a Q, which is Lunar Alignment, and this is read from a finished series. So I decided to continue on with all of the books I want to finish by the end of the year, and this is on that list. This is Blood and Honey by Shelby Maharan. This is the second book in the Serpent and Doves trilogy. Not the Serpent and Doves, the Serpent and Dove trilogy. So this trilogy is all finished, it's out, and I have all 3 books. I've only read the first, so I do want to continue, so I decided to pick this one up. Serpent and Dove follows Lou, who is a witch, and Reed, who is a witch hunter, and they are forced to get married, but Reed doesn't know that Lou is a witch. Well, she does know that he's a witch hunter, so she's keeping that secret from him. And there was a lot of drama at the end of Serpent and Dove, so I do want to continue and see what happens next. And next is Distinguished for astronomy, and it is the Blood Moon, and I need to read a book with a red cover. So this is another one where I decided to continue on in a series that I'm reading. I just finished the first book a couple months ago, and while I wasn't really in a rush to pick up the next one, I decided why not? And I needed this book to complete another prompt that I wanted to do for a side quest, so I decided to slip this one in. So this is Crown of Midnight by Sarah J. Maas. This is the second book in the Throne of Glass series. If you don't know Throne of Glass, little overall thing is Selena Sardothian is an assassin. She was imprisoned, and I believe it's a year later that she is released into the care of the Crown Prince, who wants to use her as his entry into the King's Champion competition. So she agrees to do that in order to potentially win her freedom. So I think there's like an overarching like mystery or something in this. There's magic, apparently. Eventually there are dragons. I've heard great things. I didn't love Throne of Glass. I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. I read it in 2 days, but we'll see how this goes. Then the next one I need for Star Whisperer is an O and Lore. So for this one, it is Tale of the Guide, which is a bookseller's recommendation. Now I'll put the screenshot up here. What I did was I went to Bookly and I just went through the books they recommended for me. Have a lot of issues about going places and asking people to recommend books, so this seemed like the easiest choice for me. And one of the books that was recommended I actually had on my shelves. So this was Bringing Down the Duke by Evie Dunmore. This is a historical romance that follows a woman who wants to attend Oxford, and in order to attain her scholarship, she agrees to work with the women's suffragette movement. And one of her assignments from the suffragettes is to attempt to get Duke Montgomery to support the suffragette movement. So this sounds so good. Cannot wait to pick it up. And I love a good historical romance, and I love anything that has to do with like dukes, princes, and things like that. So very much look forward to that. And then I need a D in Cyanotics and Divination. So that means I have to complete O and Q before I can get to Distinguished. So O for Cyanotics and Divination is Introduction to Tarot. And for this one, you need a random tarot generator and the same symbol on the title or cover that is on the tarot card. Now you can take anything off the tarot card and put it and try and find it on a book. So for this one, I did the random generator. I pulled the moon. So I decided to take the stars off of this one and picked Hello Stranger by Catherine Center. This is another book that I'm using for a separate side quest, so it fit in perfectly. It's also one that I really want to pick up soon, so it worked out great. This one follows a woman who is kind of like at the height of her life when she suddenly wakes up in the hospital and is kind of diagnosed with face blindness, which means she doesn't recognize people's identities, I believe. Okay. Every face she looks at is now a jumbled puzzle of disconnected features. Okay, so it kind of puts her in a love triangle between two guys, and she can't see their faces. So, sounds very interesting. Cannot wait to pick this up. And then the next two books I don't have physical copies of. One is Kindle Unlimited, and the other two are Kindle. The last two are Kindle Unlimited. So the next one is Q, Reading the Future, and this is a book set in the future. So for this, I decided to do the first book in the Murderbot series, which is All Systems Red by Martha Wells. This is a novella, but it is also set in a futuristic world where you have these robots that are part organic matter people, organic body parts, and then the other part is just robot parts. So I assume it's part of the future. So I decided to pick that up. I'd heard a lot about the Murderbot Diaries, so I decided to pick it up. We'll see how it goes. There's that. And then the final, which is D, which is Omen, and it's the lily. So a lily on the cover, or the word lily in the title, or the author's name. So for this one, I decided to pick up Faking with Benefits by Lily Gold. This seems to be like a poly relationship, reverse harem between a girl who wants a relationship and her 3 guy best friends who are going to kind of give her like relationship classes and teach her how to be a girlfriend, I guess. And, they end up falling in love. So there's that. Sounds really good. Cannot wait to pick it up. And those were what I needed for Star Whisperer. Now the next class, because I decided to be an overachiever, was Story Weaver, and I thought that's perfect. I like books. Let's do a calling about writing stories. So for this one, I need an O in inscription, Q in psionics and divination, and an D in lore. Now, originally when I picked this up, I was like, oh, I can just double up and read the same book for these same classes. But then I decided, let's make it more difficult for myself and read a different book for the same classes. So for Story Weaver, the first is an ordinary and inscription. And for this one, it's the glyph Tidy. And you need to read a book from your end of the year TBR. So I have a lot of books on my end of the year TBR because I like to procrastinate and pick books and then not read them. So one of the books on my end of the year TBR is A Curious Beginning by Deanna Raybourn. This is the first book in the Veronica Speedwell series, and I've heard amazing things. And I have started this before, and I liked where it was going, but I didn't continue on. It wasn't anything against the book. I think I just got distracted by other books that I wanted to pick up. But this is a historical, slow burn romance, like super slow. And it's also got mystery and murder, and just, it sounds so good. So Veronica Speedwell is what is she called? She collects butterflies. I don't know what that's called. But her aunt has just passed away, so she decides she's going to go on her next adventure to study more butterflies. And as she's doing that, somebody attempts to kidnap her, and she is rescued by this stately, nice gentleman who then puts her into the care of his friend Stoker, only for Stoker and Veronica to turn around and find out that the stately gentleman that helped save her was murdered. So there's that. I have heard amazing things. I also have the first 6 books in the series, and I believe there are 8 books out now, so I really do need to get moving on this. So want to pick that up. Then I need a D in lore. Nope. Then I need a Q in Cynotics and Divination, which means I need to read 2 books, which is O for Introduction to Tarot, which, as I stated, was using a random tarot generator and matching something on it to the book. So for this one, I pulled the Lovers card. So I decided to pick up Book Lovers by Emily Henry. Lovers card, Book Lovers. Why not? So I've heard amazing things. I have seen quotes on Instagram or TikTok, and it's just made me want to pick this up more. But I'm also really scared because I don't know if Emily Henry is an author for me. Even though I have 3 of her books, I've never picked up one of her books. So this is kind of like an enemies to lovers, I believe, with 2 rival publicists, I believe it is. So you follow Nora Stevens, and she apparently has a really close relationship with her sister Libby, which I love sibling relationships. They are just so heartwarming and awesome. And she decides to go on a vacation with Libby to Sunshine Falls, North Carolina, where she meets up with Charlie Lastra, another book editor from back home, and kind of like a meet cute, if not for the fact they met multiple times and it was never cute. So maybe it's a meet cute. Whatever. So I'm interested. I've read not lots. I've gotten, not spoiled, but I've seen lots of quotes from this book that have really resonated with me. So very much looking forward to picking this one up. And then I also need the Q in Cynotics and Divination, which is Reading the Future, another book set in the future. So for this one, I have 2. I have Cinder by Marissa Mayer, which I'm thinking about. I'm gonna try it, but I'm not sure how I feel about it. I'm very hesitant. So another book I can use for this is the second book in the Murderbot Diaries series, which is Artificial Condition by Martha Wells, another novella. So if I feel like I can't get to Cinder, because I do believe it's chunky, I can pick up this novella if I need a little break. Then we go to the D I need in lore, which means I need to complete O and I need to complete Q before I get to D. So O for lore is Tale of the Guide, which is bookseller's recommendation. So I did the same thing and I went on Bookly, and for this one I pulled Renegades by Marissa Mayer. I've heard a lot of great things about Renegades. It's kind of like a sci-fi dystopian superheroes or the bad guys type thing. So I'm interested. We'll see how that goes. Then you have Q, which is Cursed Cloaks, which is clothing on the cover. For this one, I chose Buy a Thread by Lucy Score. This is about a grumpy boss, and there's fashion. So I've loved Lucy Score. Every book I've read by Lucy Score, I have loved. So this just seems like the perfect one. And the cover has a piece of clothing on it. And then D for lore is the Underworld 101, which is read a horror book. So for this one, I decided to pick another book that in a series that I started but have not continued on, and that is the Stalking Jack the Ripper series. So this is Hunting Prince Dracula by Carrie Maniscalco. This follows, what is her name? Why can't I ever remember people's names? Tell me that. Her name is Audrey, right? Audrey Rose and Thomas Cresswell from Stalking Jack the Ripper. This is the second book, so they've just come off Stalking Jack the Ripper and are continuing to, I guess, Hunting Prince Dracula, which probably takes place in Romania. So, look forward to that. So big, though. How many pages is this? 424, because this is all extra bits, but a lot of pages to read. Should I add up all the pages and see how many pages it is? Oh, I don't think I want to. I really don't think I want to. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so it's all these, plus more. how many of these? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think I have to read 14. I could probably do it. So these are just some of the books I gotta get through by the end of the month. But I'm looking forward to it. I got a lot of variety on this list. There's romance, there's historical romance, there's fantasy romance, there's more historical romance, contemporary, more historical, and more fantasy. Oh, and this has a little bit of horror in it. So lots and lots and lots of choices. And then there's some smut and spicy scenes. So great. So let me know down in the comments down below. Are you participating in the Magical Readathon? If so, what's your calling? What are you reading for your classes? Let me know. I would love to talk to you guys about it. If you're interested in any of these books, they will be down in the description below. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Have a great day or night wherever you are. And don't forget to pick up a good book. Bye.